We are back at the Bally's Chicago Casino construction site. This is located in the River West neighborhood, and it is located on the north branch of the Chicago River. I was here this day to record this concrete pour. This is a massive concrete pour requiring concrete trucks coming and going every few minutes. This is what's known as a continuous pour, and this project was 1,600 cubic yards of concrete. And to run a process like this, it has to run like a precision assembly line. You see all those workers on the roof. There are so many moving parts to this, but those trucks pull up and they drop the concrete into a boom, and that boom sends that up. Right here, we're looking at it. The concrete truck pulls up, and they drop the concrete into this boom, and this boom goes up to the top of the seventh floor. This is 7 floors above the ground, but you see how that concrete boom, it sends that concrete up there, and then you have a massive team of workers making sure that goes out smoothly, because you've got to make sure it's poured properly, and then you have to have all the finishers to finish it. So there's just so many people in this process, and you see in these videos how many workers are doing this, but it's just the most amazing work, because concrete today is not like concrete when I grew up. When I was a kid, concrete was such a more simple recipe. It just had four basic ingredients: Portland cement, water, sand, and gravel. It was thick, and it required so much more work because you had to manually make sure that it covered the areas that it was supposed to. The concrete these days is a lot more liquid, and so it flows over the spaces that it needs to easier. And because of this, you didn't see these pumps back in the day. Back in the day, they would fill these larger buckets that were, shaped so it could pour out the bottom, and they would lift those up with a crane to get those to the spaces. And then, like I'm saying, it took a considerable amount more work to get that poured. And so now we see this team of construction workers, and I documented this 2 times this day. I documented it in the morning when they were early in the pour, and then later in the day where they had more of the surface covered. So here you see on this shot, they are getting down to finishing this pour, and they really could not have done something like this back in the day. So this is a pretty modern type of situation that we're looking at, but they really just were able to put all this 1,600 cubic yards of concrete out in just one day. So you have this modern process. Now let's talk more about exactly how this happens, because you have concrete trucks coming to this site, and they have a 10-ton limit on Chicago streets. So some of these trucks are maybe only 8 or 9 tons loaded. So 1,600 cubic tons. So we're talking about 180 plus concrete trucks, because they always have to add an overage just to make sure they have enough. And let's look at this. We're looking at this right now. You're seeing that boom arm. This is a boom pump. When these concrete trucks show up to the site, they back up to these dual hopper pumps. We know it's a dual hopper pump because we see 2 trucks sitting at it, and one truck is dropping its load while the other truck is backing in and getting ready to do so. But we have this boom pump that gets this more wet concrete than they used to use in the past. And it has these hydraulic pistons which are able to put enough pressure on this to send it up that hose to the site where it's being done. But these boom pumps, this is all Chicago companies that are doing this work, but it's really incredible because they are able to speed up the process so much. But it works just in such rapid fashion that they just are able to just do concrete truck after concrete truck. And the concrete trucks, they are just, they are on a mission because they have a time limit on this concrete truck. So if there are any holdups for traffic or anything, it could ruin an entire load. So there's a lot of pressure on everyone in this process. Here you see the full scene. That's 10 concrete trucks sitting down there ready to pour their mix into the boom pumps. And just looking at this whole construction scene right here. It's really just an incredible process, but to be able to see them doing this in the morning and then coming back to see them closer to finishing up, I am really just amazed by this project. And I really started documenting things like this just because I am fascinated by this stuff myself. But look at this. This is the process. We're talking about this boom pump, getting this up here. We're talking about how modern the concrete mix is. And then we see this, and you see a gentleman right there with a big long handled bull float. So, yes, this is going back to some of the manual processes that have been done for so long. You would think something like this, you might see a power trowel up there spinning around, and those are ridden by the workers. So you don't see anything like that. You see a lot of more manual process here. So that tells you a lot about the workmanship that's going on here, the craftsmanship. These people, these construction workers, I have talked to many times, and they take so much pride in their work. They will take a lot of pride in the future looking back, saying, I worked on that project. And I've talked to so many workers that can tell me about the projects they were on, and they just have so much pride. But to see this process being done in this manner when there are more modern ways to lay concrete, it's incredible to me to see this work. But yes, this is the pride that you see at Chicago construction sites. These construction workers, these are concrete finishers. So they have that job. You had the steel workers. You had how many other different jobs working on this site? It takes so many people coming together doing different things, and then there are quite a few different companies that work on sites like this. But this is the Bally's Chicago casino site. This was originally scheduled to open this year, but has now been pushed back to 2027. And I don't think that bothers anyone looking at this site and seeing all of these great construction jobs. There is a lot of development happening in Chicago, so we have a massive amount of great union paying construction jobs. And that is a prideful thing here in Chicago. So we're going to wrap up this video right now. Thank you so much.